Examples I brought in. I guess for the video, I'll just say the temperature stuff and all that. But so basically for the Jungle Gems, they advertise as low fire. They say you can do high fire too, or medium fire, which is stoneware level, but that you have to put them on top of a regular stoneware glaze like David has.
What's that?
So if you're medium firing them, you have to have something like floating green underneath.
Yeah, except floating green. So no, not floating green. For like the stoneware glazes that you would want to put underneath a Jungle Gems, you would want something that is not naturally super watery and runny. So stuff like juicy fruit, floating green, those would be inadvisable to use.
Okay.
Definitely without testing, and anytime I'm testing something that would run more, like I'm obviously doing it on the inside of something like that, so it just can't leak onto the stove.
But if the only place we fire is here, we can put it directly onto the clay and trust David to fire it however it's supposed to be fired.
No, you have to put it with the, if it's getting mid-fired, you put it on the shelf where stuff that gets mid-fired goes, and you put a note on it that designates it as such. I mean, David does at this point, recognize generally what Jungle Gems glaze looks like. It looks pretty distinct, and it's something glazed on the Bisqueware Greenware shelf. But if everyone's going to be using it, put it on the shelf that it's going to be fired to, and put a note with it. Just, that's David's program. So the main, I think the useful thing with the examples is there's low fire and mid fire stuff here, and stuff that hasn't been fired yet, so you see what it looks like, and then a couple different examples on different clay bodies and glazes. So like these two, so these are both using the same type of Jungle Gems, and it comes out really differently on two different bases. So this one is Antique Mott, one of the brush-ons that David has, and this one is Texture Chowder, same deal. But yeah, I feel like just a good example of how it'll be different colors if you use it on different bases. So you can see, like, this is it's called Cheetah. Yeah. So this is Cheetah on top of the texture, and this is Cheetah on top of the Mott. And in this one, it comes out a lot more yellow and green. This one, it comes out like blue, purple. And both of them, the black that you can see in each of them are, that's something that you can see, like, if you look into the glaze, like, the actual little, like, black pieces
Okay.
of glass. That's what,
Like a cheetah.
Do we actually have Jungle Gems? No, I don't think so.
and yeah, so these two here, this one's on white, that one's on 612, or by white, I guess I mean D-Mix, any of the, white ones. And this is low fire, so I, did the regular cooking, I put the Jungle Gems on, then I put it back on the bisque shelf with a note, reminding David that it's a low fire glaze. And then this is what it looks like when it has the note on it. These are the same things, so you can kind of see, like,
Cool.
Generally there's like at least, there's usually at least 2 or 3 sizes of like grit and grain in each of the glazes. And so that's like what the different colors are on these. Like there's the green, blue, and purple. And usually they'll all be of like a different size. So there's like a super fine grain, like a medium sized one, and then a big chunky one. You know, like these are just like big pieces of glass.
And this is only Jungle Gems. There's no other base glaze.
And
Okay.
it's only fired to the medium firing level, which is bisque.
So you bisque fire, then glaze, then bisque fire again. Okay.
So after
Can
you
you
put
put
the,
it on greenware?
No.
No. Okay.
so
not
if
like
you're
on
using that, if you're putting it on Bisqueware, so when we put it to be fired, not on here, but back on Bisqueware.
Mhm. With a note.
Unless there's a base glaze, correct?
Mhm. And so, like these two went on the regular glazing shelf. They each had a brush on as a base, and then the cheetah on top. And then this is also the cheetah on the on teal appeal.
And wait, say that again?
So this stripe, the cheetah-looking stripe, is the cheetah on top of teal appeal. So you know, just to compare to these other ones, to see how it comes out
Okay.
differently on each.
So if you put teal appeal on, and then you put the Jungle Gym on top of that glaze, and then you put it on the regular glazing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
here is an example of Jungle Gems on top of a regular glaze. So the, you know, reddish tint here is flambe, and then this, all the purple and the little gem, you know, the little rocks you see, that's all a Jungle Gems on top.
Okay.
And then, so these two are a good example of how it comes out. So this is the same application on two different types of clay. So, like, just, you know, from how I see it, it comes out darker, and like more of the metallic-y stuff comes out on the 612, and then on the B-Mix Speckle, like it's more translucent. I mean, you can see through it. You can see the speckle underneath. I don't usually love that. My general rule for Jungle Gems is the darker. I kind of like match the tint of the glaze to the clay body. But it doesn't. I mean, this is a darker one on like a lighter clay, and you can see just like you can theoretically avoid that if you put a ton on. Like, it just covers up. So like I like how the top of this looks. This is low fire Mystic Jade, or medium fire Mystic Jade, and then but you know that's like the bummer that I want to avoid on the bottom, which is like if you have a darker color and you're putting it on top of a lighter clay body, it's more likely to have that.
Is that with more coats on top?
Yeah.
How many, is it still like 3, like the brush on glazes to get it to be more opaque?
So I tend to kind of just like paste it on. Like I want it to be thick and have like some of each of the type of grain. So and it's hard. I mean, you'll see when you spread it, like you're spreading rocks, so
Right.
it doesn't lend itself excellently to, you know, 3 coats that are going to be even and have even distribution.
Right.
So, oh yeah, and this is another thing. I mean, I tend to use these, like the sponge brushes, and I would just use your own brushes for the Jungle Gems, because, like, I don't want to. They can be tough to clean. And then, like, if you leave it like this, it's, you know, super screwed, and it is harder to clean brushes from Jungle Gems because there's like a million little rocks on the brush. So, yeah, I like the sponge brushes. Or yeah.
Are they, just speaking of cleaning the
Yeah.
brushes, would you get cut if you were like, you have to be careful that you don't get cut by the glass if you're like using your hand in the bristles?
I've never cut myself, but I mean, it's
Possible.
sharp. Yeah, I like definitely wouldn't say it's impossible.
Can you like put an underglaze under it? Like the
can.
kind that you would put into greenware?
But why
The
would you?
kind that you would put into what?
That you can put on greenware, like an
Like
So
if you put it on bisque,
yeah, I mean,
though?
Yeah, and then put the jungle gyms over the top so you could like make it be colored underneath.
right, like for this one that I just showed, if you put like
Yeah.
a green underneath, yeah.
Okay.
And did you
But
say-
right, you just have to remember that you can't do jungle gems on greenware.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Did you say, as a general rule, do 3 coats or 2 coats or?
So I think 3 coats. I mean, in my experience, similar to underglaze in how I think about application. So yeah, 3 coats or just like, a thick coat. And then so for putting it on top of stoneware stuff, so for the low fire, it really doesn't run. That is, I was worried about that for a while, but it really just does not run when it's medium fired. So don't stress.
Studio training, that was last week, or is there another one coming?
There will be another one. We rescheduled